It's basically mirror world. We can adapt that to what we deem as a community the most stable asset in the world. Right now, that's the US dollar. So people who can't get dollars, they can't get stable currencies, they can now blog, earn, be able to turn that into HBD, buy goods and services with it. The merchants get it. They say, this is easy. Why would I cash out? Then you start to see these circular economies. So that's what I'm really interested in. It starts as, hey, I can buy some cool things with my crypto to, wow, we create circular economies where they didn't have infrastructure for banks. They didn't have access to this type of technology before. And a lot of it's overly centralized. They can cut your services off. They don't have to worry about that with HBD. So I see payment integrations like Keychain, V for V. I always looked at Bitcoin as sort of our fiat, right? We're not on any of the big fiat exchanges, but we can always go and convert to Lightning, and Lightning, you can get your favorite fiat. And I think that's a pivotal bridge to start to create this outside of the grid system where you're not reliant on centralized forces. You at least have an alternative.
Yeah, and I'm super excited for more decentralized technologies that would make it automated. So now I can integrate with some kind of system where I can just go from Hive right to Bitcoin or some other place like Litecoin, and then trade that out to fiat with whatever Web2 already existing bridges there are, fiat on ramps, fiat on off ramps. So making that automated and decentralized, and then just plug and play, hook up to your app. I want to accept some crypto payments, and then I can send that wherever I want after the fact to cash out.
More questions, more news with regard fiat. What's on your side?
As far as payment goes, I don't like to touch fiat. I think it's a little legally dangerous. So, in general, I would like to support companies that are more established to take, say like 3Speak could charge a subscription fee that would enable people to utilize their infrastructure, better infrastructure, or upload longer videos or 4K videos or something like that. And that gives them a way to pay for their infrastructure and lower their costs that would be associated with taking money out of the Hive ecosystem. So it's still a net boon and a way to get capital into the system without actually touching the capital ourselves.
Interesting point. Um, I have another topic which is a bit new to me that we have it, or where when we have it, off-chain accounts was on that list. Could someone give us a little bit more light into that corner?
Like, are you asking how it works or just
Yeah,
what it means?
if this is already available, what we can do. I saw it in combination with the multi-sig wallets you offered.
Yeah, so at the moment, what we've been testing with the testnet is just you have a smart contract, you take some off-chain transactions that are created by a DID, which can be either just a raw public key or something that's attached directly to Ethereum, and then interact with that smart contract. So whether that's doing transfers or registering domain names or something else that you've programmed. And then the next kind of phase is actually building that into more of the multi-sig, where the multi-sig actually acts as an agent of the off-chain account. So that they can actually interact with Hive through that layer.
Clear enough.
Nope.
Well, it's one of those things where, we've got these pieces that are pulling the tech in. But Arkanj and I were talking about this on the live stream. Automagic is what we need now, right? Simplicity and a reduction of difficulty. And so a lot of people understand, like, okay, I know how to make an OAuth account, using a Facebook or whatever, right? Like, people are very familiar with Web 2 methods of this. And we've certainly got people who could bring those sort of off chain identities that they've built and use that to onboard. So we've got a couple groups that are doing it. And so obviously Vaultec and the ceramic accounts and light accounts and everything that they're pursuing is one. Leo Finance is doing it as well. And so it's not necessarily that everything is off chain, but certainly that there are portions of data that don't need to be put on chain, but we can draw from Web 2 and kind of get people in easily. And that just kind of comes back to the idea of not everybody's ready to just hop right in and start powering through posting on the chain, and that's okay. And that's been a struggle for us. That's a paradigm shift because we're like, how easy is it to blog? Just post something. And then we realized, yeah, I haven't posted a personal post since 2019. So who am I to say that to somebody, right? is just understanding that people are going to fall into this space and into our products in different ways. And so just giving them a sort of like toe in opportunity to easily make an account without actually all of the sort of heavy ideology that comes with it is going to be critical to the next part of our growth for sure.
Vincent.
I will add on what you say. What we need, and I will jump to what Matt said, Sarker said in his introduction speech. We need businesses, like in Sucre, where people use Hive, they pay, and that's it. They don't know anything about the blockchain. That's what we got with Splinterlands. They play, they don't know they use Hive. So we have a lot of very good technical tools now. Uh, that's nice, but we now need to go to business and to build things on top of Hive, whatever technology we use, and then go to the masses through that channel, like payments, like you said, easy payments and so on.
Yeah, what people do in Cuba
Yeah.
to have the value still in a chain. It's moving from one to another without having a bank in the middle who eats our commissions and so on.
Yeah, and it should be easy to use, easy to do for the layman.
Like going off of that point, there's already a lot of systems right now, like Magic Link and Taurus, that allow you to onboard onto Ethereum and other platforms like that. So building and integrating those tools into Hive would really make actual onboarding a lot faster. And right now with 3Speak, we're already working on integration with Magic Link, so you can go sign in with like Discord, Google, Facebook, and all of the other options that are just natively supported by that provider, which then we would hook it up to like an off-chain account or proxy or something else to actually do the posting.
That made it way more clear. Thanks.
Well, I wasn't sure what you're asking at first, but
Are there any questions to the podium out of the audience? Yes. We need to get you a microphone.
I really like what you guys are talking about in terms of integrating Hive into businesses, and I was wondering what Hive can offer a business structure in terms of voting and in terms of can I use Hive to take my whole company and all the people in my company and have them make decisions in that company, and how could we integrate that into Hive?
Good question.
So that's an interesting sort of like a governance model amongst the business. I've heard of businesses wanting to have front ends where only their workers or their customers can post to it. And then if you think of it, maybe they can earn points. Those points could be powered up and they can upvote, and then they influence the trending. So maybe they say this business sucks. They don't want that on their trending, but they don't have any control over it because it's the community. So they have to really tote the line and provide good services. As far as earning stake, you'd have to find a way to divvy it up, way to earn. Maybe you add incentives where people get a set amount of points based on what their rank is or what their position is, and then they can earn points and earn more governance rights in the future as businesses become more autonomous and more worldwide, where anyone can get involved. But I think that or businesses always want to reach their community, and they want to be intimate, and they want to know what they want. The community wants to feel heard. So I think these dedicated front ends where you think of a coupon. Well, instead of that, maybe if you have X amount of points, you automatically get the coupon, and you get recognized as being a good customer. And all these things can happen on the front end, and that's where I think Hive has really made a tokenized social status in a way where you can earn social rep and actually have value from that because people can see what you've done. So I think mixing that with businesses is really magical, and I think the first business to really touch that is going to have a really good experience.
Yeah. So this is one aspect of it for sure. Is you have a social platform where you breed brand ambassadors essentially, and that's your employees can be part of that. But kind of to speak to your question, one of the things that has been happening as I get out and I move more in spaces where there are other blockchains. So there are, let's say, competitors who are trying to tackle things from a purely financial standpoint, which is what a lot of blockchain is designed for. Let's be realistic, right? Most blockchains try and tackle financial problems, financial solutions. Hive is poised to solve a lot of other things, and the way that we talk about it is really important. And so for businesses, I mean, essentially, if you think about Hive as a vehicle for sharing immutable text, or even just pulling known entities and their actions, it would be very interesting and very easy to do something like, okay, anybody that works at your particular company at any given time, your company account broadcasts a JSON with, you know, a little bit of information about them or whatever, and that's now available in the blockchain. You know, anybody can pull it, but you can also pull it. So if they want to vote on, you know, decentralized polling has been released a couple times, but the Peak Open project has just put it out there. You can run a poll, you know who your employees are, you can pull all that off the blockchain, nice, easy, fast, put together a half table, you know, do it from Hive SQL. You have a lot of options, and all of this stuff is held. People can double check it. Your employees know you're not rigging a vote. There's a lot of ways that you can use data in and out of Hive very differently than we think about it now. And so this is kind of the next phase for me, certainly, is helping sort of businesses, blockchains, you know, everybody out there. What other than just sort of the social side of it, what else can you do with this tech stack? Because it turns out, holy crap, there's a lot. So, you know, from your question and the standpoint, there's the rewarding answer, which, you know, Dan nailed. Then there's the flip side, which is, you know, knowing that you can store almost any information in Hive's blockchain, and knowing that you can work with a recognized identity and connections between those identities, including votes or just text strings, you've got so much information that you can manipulate and pull and use. So it's very much like having a specialized database, except you don't have to build that infrastructure just for your company. You can have it be open and provably fair to any degree that you want, and anyone can do that. And so any business could just jump on that and start, you know, building from that standpoint, for sure, with no fees and not having to pay gas fees to do something like a business vote.
And I think this is where like a VSC or Honeycomb or Half would come in, and any of this business logic that you have come up with or anybody else can come up, you can probably share it. It's all open source. So just start your community and make it whatever you need it to be.
More questions from the audience?
The moderator not prepare enough questions?
I have an audience who is probably like to ask you everything they ever wanted to know about Hive. So I have some more topics here on my list. Server-side console-based proof of access storage. Who?
Hello.
Oh.
Hi.
Oh, there's one question.
Yeah. So I have a question. Is there a way to speed up the relationship between HBD and Hive? I see that the exchange, the Hive Dex, is still like in beta. It's been in beta for a while, and right now it's also very obscure. Like most people don't know about the exchange. They will have to wait 3 days for them switch from their HBD to Hive, and Hive is really, I mean, it's available on Binance. It's available on many exchanges, and HBD is not. So it's a kind of like a throughput to have to jump from HBD to Hive and then wait 3 days and then go to Binance. And I think it's just a marketing issue. It's not really that the tech is not there or the tools are not there. It's just that people don't know because it's not available in their wallet or whatever.
Yeah, so there's a couple parts of this, and I was going to give it to block trades at first because half of the question is conversion, which is the 3.5-day aspect. What I can talk to is the exchange process. So I do a lot, if not most, of the exchange outreach for us. Let me tell you, that is difficult. Imagine going to some of the biggest centralized financial entities in the world and saying, "Hi, I don't have a first name, I don't have a last name, I don't have a company, we don't have an address, we don't have a credit card, we don't have anybody that's ever audited our blockchain. Do you want to list us?" And they go, "Get wrecked." So it's a long process to kind of negotiate these listings. The other flip side is, too, the standard practice right now for centralized exchanges to get listed, oh, amazing, thank you, sir, is pay. pay me, because centralized exchanges are not doing as well as you think they are. I hate to tell you. So the reality is their business model isn't always trading fees, even though it should be. Their business model is to find new projects that are funded by stupid money and to extract that stupid money from a new project before it dies. And that's a really, really unhealthy business model. And it means for us to get HBD listed and, to do that convincing, the fastest route that is not always even still open to us is to pay them something ridiculous like 2-3 Bitcoin at a time. That's not really super viable for us in most cases, but it also is problematic in that we are seeing more and more regulation. So it's not us. We're free. We have HBD. It works. It's convertible. Exchanges, when I go and work with them, I'm under NDA, I'm fully doxxed, we need legal documentation, and then we hit the wall of who owns Hive? Who programs Hive? Who owns the code base? Okay, cool. Give me a docs team of everyone who's ever worked on the code. So when you get these projects that, come out and they spend the money, they spend 2-3 Bitcoins to get listed, they put up 2 or 3 sacrificial lambs who go to court the second the rug pull happens. That's how these centralized exchanges absolve themselves of problems. That does pose a problem for us as a blockchain that is actually truly decentralized, isn't owned by anyone. It does make it tricky. So to avoid kind of taking up the entire talk on this, we do have some attempts to kind of get HBD listed more places, but you do have options as well. And I hope personally that between swaps, on-chain dexes, and cross-chain dexes, we're going to see options versus centralized exchanges. Because let's be very realistic, the countries that are already blocked from these big exchanges like Binance, they're probably not coming back, and more countries will drop. And so the reliance on centralized exchanges is it's pretty problematic. So the idea of getting in and out of HBD, you have the conversion, which is the 3 days, but you also have internal marketplaces. You can trade instantly. There are a lot of people who don't want to wait that 3 days. So the point that you're making of waiting is really important, and part of that is we don't have enough people talking about our on-chain internal marketplaces. And we're just now kind of getting more ways of accessing them. We've got more people who are creating front ends for them. And part of that is really actually driving, our own people to provide liquidity. There's not a lot of HBD on the market. It turns out everybody really likes it and wants to hold on to it. So, from a conversion standpoint, I don't know if one of you guys wants to jump in who's working on core code, but...
It's what you said. I think I feel like almost you've missed, there's a currency exchange you can trade right now. And it was the intended mechanism at the very beginning for how to go from HBD to Hive or vice versa. It's just the on-chain exchange. The 3.5-day conversion is really, it's not meant for trading your HBD into Hive. That's not really its main purpose. It's a mechanism to sort of allow to maintain the pegs. The pegging price of HBD. So if somebody sees the peg goes really out of balance, they can quickly just exchange to Hive worth the same value, and they don't have to wait for people to buy it from them. So it's an enforcement mechanism that allows the pegging price of HBD to maintained. It's really not meant for average people who want to take their HBD and make Hive. That's why it's 3.5 days. It's an inconvenience that should drive you instead to trade at the market with other people, and you could trade, in 3 seconds. So that's really the reason why there's that kind of difference. There's some other reasons for that delay and to prevent market manipulation and things like that as well. But the driving idea is you don't do the 3.5 day unless you're trading a lot. If you want to make a really large transversion of HBD to Hive or vice versa, then you might use that mechanism. But for smaller amounts that people would normally be doing, the exchange is the way to go. And there's like Corinne mentions, there's multiple interfaces to that exchange at this point. I think so. It shouldn't be too hard to find one you can use.
A good big brain collective here question would be, okay, so we know that we've got our great interest, and that's really incentivized people to hold HBD, which is part of the reason there isn't a lot of native liquidity. People aren't always making trades. How do we get people using it? How do we get more people who want to trade back and forth between HBD and Hive using our internal marketplaces?
Well, Once we start getting more liquidity and people start understanding the internal market more, what I would like to see is, because you have bulls and bears and you have people who like to speculate like myself, and instead of going to Binance and trading for some centralized stable coin, you can trade back and forth into HBD, creating a circular positive loop for Hive. Because you're never cashing out, you're just going from risk on to risk off, but you're still in the same ecosystem. So instead of giving all those trading fees and giving all of that energy and liquidity to centralized forces that we are opposed to and can cut your account off and not helping us one bit, it's just a temporary band-aid. We can create our own environment and our own destiny by encouraging people to go risk off, just meaning I don't want a volatile asset. I'll go to HBD and I might stake it and earn in between swing trades or whatnot. So I think that's critical.
I guess the only other thing that occurs to me from, just the question itself is maybe we need to make it more obvious in the interface. So, I mean, and I say the interface, but we're talking a bunch of interfaces, right? Maybe we just have something that when you click on your HBD, it just your amount, it pops up that says, "Would you like to convert this to Hive?"
I mean, so I think there is an aspect to it where it is a marketing aspect. I mean, Madiari has a great marketplace view. Peak has one with HiveHub.dev. They've got a great market there. Like, we used to sort of be constrained to the internal market on Hive.blog. Now you've got a lot more sort of rich, in-depth options that you can do with it. I think there's probably some work to be done even internally where we can get people kind of using these versus the thought of I must go to the only centralized exchange listing, which is I think Bittrex, which is, that's I wouldn't do it. To be quite honest, I wouldn't take my HBD out there. So yeah, it's how do we get more people kind of moving back and forth, because we're in this magical place now where everybody that gets HBD covets it and either wants to use it to buy game assets or wants to stake it and hold on to it for interest. So I mean, there is certainly an aspect of, hey, there's not as much on the market when I need it and want it. And vice versa.
In fairness, though, he was asking to convert from HP to Hive, so.
Well, those are the options.
He's going
so
the other
yeah,
direction.
you gotta go whichever way you gotta go. I think we could probably get people more excited about it.
Could I ask a quick question?
No.
Okay. I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Just being polite.
Do it, please.
Quick question. On the flip side of that, going from Hive into HBD, of course, we've got the 3.5-day conversion, but is there some opportunity here for hedge funds to get incredible liquidity in a stablecoin if they're going through Hive into HBD and doing a buying program over, say, 100 days, where the 3.5-day time window doesn't really make much of a difference, as opposed to us normal people who might do one trade and not want to use the 3.5-day window? A hedge fund might think, well, if we're doing a buying program over 100 days, going straight from Hive into HBD, it's a large liquidity pool. It kind of makes HBD an incredibly liquid token right now, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I think that's completely true. If you want to do large transactions without, changing the slippage as much, that's one of the things about the conversions. You just get the price at the time. So when you don't have to worry about someone saying, oh, this guy's trying to buy it, and we'll drive up the price.
It's incredibly elastic. People say we need more HBD. There's a theoretically infinite HBD. Is more people need it, the market cap of Hive raises, which means more HBD can be there. So it's just a tool that a hedge fund can use and find incredibly useful.
Ryan?
On this subject, that's one of the things that I saw Lightning as a sort of a easy non-KYC on and off ramp, and it largely is. And I charge a very small fee. I charge a fee more as a token to stop abuse rather than because I have to. It's small volumes at the moment. I mean, certainly with more DHF funding, I could just do away with the fee, but I don't want it ever to be totally frictionless and free. But certainly for Binance has put in now a 2 million sat, which is $500 or so, limit on in and out with Lightning. but there are in many jurisdictions now ways to move. I'm talking about the $100, $200 type transfers, and those can be done efficiently with Lightning. And then my system is very efficient at getting Lightning in and out of Hive. So for the smaller amount, this isn't for the traders, this isn't for the $10,000, $20,000 type things, but for buying things and doing real stuff. That's where I built V4V app, and I hope it fills a niche. And especially once we get wrapped Bitcoin natively on Hive, then there'll be this option where people won't have to, if they want to stay in sats and they like to denominate in sats, they can do that, or they can go into HBD and backwards and forwards. So, that's where that's the lower level of that I'm trying to fill.
What was the question?
It wasn't really a question. I'm just promoting myself. I mean, come on.
Okay, another topic I got, if you're talking about HPD, to my ears more and more is which APR do we like to hold? So it's a long discussion. There are different opinions. I know. Is there something we should talk about here?
Well, I think right now what we have is very primitive. I think there's consensus that 20%, 10%, or whatnot for 3.5 days is just kind of silly. We've had talks amongst the community about creating something called Hive bonds, where you can lock the HBD up for a year and you get a higher, more realistic interest rate. So I think the debate over the 3.5-day window is kind of useless and a waste of energy. The debate should be, what should the APR be on a year? How long should we have the windows? That's what we should be looking at.
Yeah, because many people see this 20% APR as a good investment, because if you look around, there are not many investment with that APR. So is this a magnet to drive people to Hive?
It has to at least be as high as the inflation is, and inflation is like 3 to 10% right now. So I think that's going to be the low.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's in between. It's a good magnet because, as you say, 20% is big number, but we didn't promote it outside of Hive. If we wanted it to be a magnet, we should have made promotion towards a platform or towards a user. And on the other side, when you say to people, hey, if you buy HBD and you stake them, you can get 20%, they say, it's not possible. So it's really hard to sell, but we didn't really make the effort to promote this APR outside of Hive and to see if it works or not.
Okay.
Right.
More questions from the audience? Yes. Please state your name first. It makes it a little bit more easy.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris Rice, and my question is, how many people here have considered integrating dynamic staking into Hive, where instead of having a fixed time where you stake, let's say I think it's 13 weeks, and the savings also has a fixed time, what about allowing people to choose how long they stake, and also altering the reward system based on the longer you stake, the longer or the more rewards you get in terms of interest? And I have serious interest in that because of the security aspect, where I would personally be interested in staking longer than 13 weeks to make my funds more secure.
I think that's interesting. You have to. So there's two things to look at here. One of the reasons for a long lockup is the security, but it's also security versus an exchange attack. It deters exchanges from using user funds against them. We see most blockchains that don't have any staking time. Their biggest validators are Coinbase. Their biggest validators are centralized exchanges like Binance, whom we know we can't trust. So it's about deterring that sort of attack where people are going to use funds against the wishes of the users, but also making it to where it's more feasible, right? People are it's a lot to ask somebody straight up to go lock up for 3 months. So there's a fine line there. I'm not going to pretend to know the exact answer. Dynamic staking, it sounds like it also might bring some dynamic problems. We have to really game theory that. and see. I don't think longer is going to be a problem. I think shorter is where you have to really be close, and some good debates there.
At least for the Speak Network, we do have dynamic staking. It's more like if everybody here votes to have it shorter, it goes shorter, and all of the things that we're talking about, like safety, security, everything else is based on those staking distance or the staking length. So it'll be part of Honeycomb if you want to use those kinds of systems, and if it works out and it's a feature that everybody wants, maybe it'll go higher onto level 1. We're all just burning.
For Hive.
That's a proof of burn.
Proof of burn. Some more questions. We move there, no, we stay here. We burn a few more minutes and then we have lunch. Then we burn from inside. Yeah. Another question.
Hey, so I'm Brian. I'm kind of curious about for me, an elephant in the room is retention. I've been to a bunch of HiveFests. There's obviously less people. It's cool. I don't really have a problem with that. But I'm curious what things are happening towards retention, and something that I'll mention amongst just regular user. I'm just a regular user. I'm not political. I'm not technical. I don't really get into the things. But sometimes there's a feeling like you can't say something because you're worried that one of these kind of whale downvoting powers will blast you. And I'm just kind of curious if you see that some of this thing is maybe what's pushing some people away. I know we've lost a lot of great people around some of these battles of downvotes and just retention. My question is around retention in general and any ideas of how to get people to stick around more and simultaneously like a way to maybe have less of this like intense thing of that somebody can just come and destroy you. I don't know if there's even a solution to that, but I'm interested in it.
Yeah. So I think the answer is layer 2 communities. I think trying to onboard a new user to just Hive, curators can only curate so much. You're going to have politics. So I think if you go into a community about cars and you talk about cars, you're less likely to be downvoted by a car whale, so to speak. And it sort of gets people into their own vibe in their own community. And whether these tokens have value or not, it's all about reputation and status inside that community. You ever see like a group of collectors or any kind of niche topic, you share and people respect you and people will put in painstaking hours just to get that. You see it in Reddit subreddits, for example. So I think getting the technology to make plug and play tokenized communities is essential. Once we get people on the Hive, you don't just say, oh, there you go, get your Hive upvote. You say, oh, what are you interested in? Oh, and then they'll naturally go to a Leo Finance, and they'll naturally go to a skate.hive community where they're going to have curators who are on guard for that type of content. So I think just looking at Hive, I look at Hive as a distribution mechanism. It's very cold-hearted to try to come into Hive and earn some Hive upvotes only. But, you know, you go to Leo and you share some nice financial, I wouldn't call it advice, but, you know, you're talking crypto and people like it, you're probably going to earn some Leo, at least a lot easier than you would Hive. And I know a lot of Leo users who actually earn a lot more Hive. Some of them might not even know what Hive is, and that's the ultimate goal, to be able to use an app, earn on it, whatever you're earning, be a part of a community without even really realizing the underlying technology.
So, I mean, I think there's a couple of prongs to this, and some of them are kind of missteps, and some of them are kind of natural. And it's a thing that I kind of think about a lot, because as I'm kind of moving around in different spaces and talking to different types of people, it turns out if you build a human blockchain for humans, they are going to human all over it. And that is a new experience for a lot of people in this space. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. Retention is always going to be an issue. And part of that comes from the fact that, you know, the birth of our chain and our platform and our story and even our legacy chain was initially presented to people as, you know, very much intrinsically tied to cryptocurrency. And market sentiment, and I know we hate saying things like that, but market sentiment and the overall attitude of everyone to cryptocurrency and blockchain has boom and bust cycles in the overall space. And you'll see it in our own users who will be like, well, why should I come back and do anything? It's not worth it. And so some of it is absolutely retention because of interpersonal issues, but some of it really is, you came here not to be social, but you ended up being social towards an end. And that's not a bad thing, but unfortunately that precedent was set. And so now we've kind of entered a new, I want to say a new era, but we're getting there where, yeah, we are DApp first, community first onboarding. And that's very different for us than where we kind of started. So for us, especially the ones who are here at HiveFest or who are watching on the live stream, we're so immersed in this community. We're so familiar with each other that when somebody does go missing or when a community does look not as busy, for us, we notice it. We're getting to know each other. We've known each other for many years. But retention will always be a problem. And so it's one of those reasons that when we are helping dApps on board specifically, getting them to the right people, getting them to the match of what they're doing is so important, because this isn't just a Hive problem. It is, and that's the one that matters to us. But you build anything and retention is your number one concern. Any project, any business, any influencer, you have your moment in the sun and then your community kind of peters out. How do you prevent that? And it's basically a product match with the people that you're getting connected to. And so I'm not saying that a lot of the people that come to Hive aren't a good fit for Hive, but they often get onboarded in a way that doesn't right away connect them to what they want. And we've seen this shift where we're saying, okay, dApps have to onboard, dApps have to market. And it's true. And so for us, especially, a lot of the core team, core groups, our job is to help build better tools and to help dApps succeed at that. That's got to be the next phase of things. As to sort of the downvoting aspect, yeah, there's no doubt. Nobody likes to get downvoted. That sucks. Gross. It's not even about money. Just you don't like me? Well, I don't like you. That, again, human's gonna human, right? So, we've seen this, though. We've seen look, YouTube took dislikes off, and they're still experiencing just plummeting user base. So, unfortunately for us, downvotes in a lot of ways, again, you have established relationships over years, people who are incredibly passionate, and then you pair downvotes with it, and what it feels like to us is just people lobbing Molotov cocktails at each other. But then, the flip side is you have people who have been downvoted for years who are like, haha, still here, still going to comment on your stuff, still posting. So I think it comes back to how do you build tools for granularity? You give those people that same ability to keep going because they're obviously driven. And you give the people who right now maybe use downvotes in a specific way, you give them better tools to just trim out the experiences they don't want to interact with. And I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing is how do interfaces, dApps, projects, tools, how much more granularity can we give to a person to just say, I don't want to deal with you, I never want to see you again. How do we make that work really well so that you don't necessarily have to downvote most of the time to hide someone from your feed or whatever. And I think that's going to be a big part of diffusing some of the passionate fights that we see on chain, hopefully.
Matt has a question or answer or something in between.
Thank you. Starkers again. You guys are really working on the cutting edge of this chain and this technology, and I think this is an opportunity to tell the people, the world, and everyone watching on live stream, if it's possible, Detlev, if every one of them could just give an answer to this. Keep it relatively short. But I'd be really interested to know from each one of you guys, because there's no defined definition of this and it can go anywhere based on the community. But in the next 2 or 3 years, what things do you think we're going to be doing on a daily basis on Hive? As you guys are building this stuff, what interactions are we going to be making transactions on Ethereum from Gmail accounts through Hive? What do you think we're going to be doing? And again, not to make you promise anything, because I appreciate this is software and it can go anywhere and it can take a long time. But just give us a little clue as to where you're thinking this is going and what it's going to look like in the next few years.
It was more or less exactly what I planned now without talking to you. So coming to the point, if you have a wish for Hive? What would be the biggest wish we could look for, plan, even if you don't go that way, but maybe to tell the audience what you have in mind would be damn cool. Who wants to start?
I think we have a good base technology and all the bricks we need to develop things. What we now need to focus on is developing useful stuff for layman pupil. And they don't know they use Hive, but they will need Hive to operate or to interact with our blockchain. So everything will grow, but they should not know about it. And
So with one word?
we slowly need to shift from technology to use cases.
Thanks.
Yeah, the technology really needs to power the UIs. So we need good technology that equals good UX and that does everything that we need, while also being still like decentralized and secure. So like having seamless bridges with different ecosystems where you could easily on and off ramp users into Hive off-chain accounts, so you could easily create accounts without spending RCs and like flexible smart contracts and scaling, so that we can actually scale out to the hundreds of thousands and millions of users active per day.
So I kind of see Hive as a really big.
Put your mic a little bit closer.
I guess I have a different
Oh,
microphone.
love it.
So I see Hive as a really base security software. Like now you go to a website and you don't see the little lock on the top, and you're like, I'm not gonna touch this. But really, that is the level of security you're giving yourself when you're on a blockchain. And I'm really hoping that more and more of our interactions go into this space. And back to like the retention question, I think if you walk into a bar and there's nobody in the bar, you kind of leave. And it's kind of what it feels like when you walk into Hive the first time. You're like, wow, I don't care about crypto at all, and I saw the post that I want, so I'm going to leave. So I think a lot of people are working on things like union indexers to get more personalized feeds coming to you, so you actually feel like you're in a place you belong instead of, just an echo chamber for something you don't care about.
So I guess it's probably no secret what I've mostly been focused on. I think there's a lot of problems in the world where we have centralized organizations that, for one reason or another, aren't always the best. And so we need solutions, decentralized solutions. So my goal has always been just to make Hive a base layer. You'll hear the term a couple of times. And make it easy. Make it really easy for someone who wants to solve a problem, decentralize a problem, make it super simple. And unlike Arcane, I don't think we're quite there yet technologically. I think there's still a lot of work we can do to make it much simpler for devs. So I'm not saying devs shouldn't start now. They should. But that's the way we find problems along the way. But we certainly can do a lot of things to really ease the work that devs have to do. I mean, we talked about things like second layer accounts, light accounts, whatever. I think we can have things like a half app that would sit there and you could register keys. Then all the different apps can go look at that data on the blockchain and say, oh, this key is owned for this account, and I can use it in my app too. He can sign things with that key.
Yeah. No, I've been looking at just linking those two identities and linking your Ethereum address with your Hive.
Exactly.
It's all proven cryptographically.
So we can have very simple APIs for somebody to do all this, and they don't have to go write out their own code. And we have a centralized database. It's called Hive, decentralized database. And so that's really where I think my time is being spent, is looking how to make these tools to just ease the development of these other apps.
So you guys touched on mine. If you've seen any of the sort of recent talks I've been asked to do and stuff like that, identity. Hive to me is identity, and that is valuable. As valuable as financial information about yourself is who you are, who you get to present yourself to be, who you interact with. And so for me, the future going forward, and what I'm personally most focused on is the reality that identity is not a piece of plastic that the government gives you. And that doesn't need to be a crazy conspiracy theorist kind of thing. It really should just be that you value who you are, and that you get to make choices on it, and that you get to interact with other identities that, are part of your network and bring you joy, and that you can create whatever it is that you're going to create with, whether that's just a relationship or whether that's something financial or, you know, a business and beyond. So for me, when I look at Hive, I don't answer to Gina anymore. I mean, the only people who call me that are my parents. There's no one else in the world. I am Krim, and I am the sum of the actions that I've taken on and off this blockchain. And everything that you need to know about me publicly, you can find behind this identity that's built here. And I want other people to be able to do that. And take that out into the world and make that part of what they're doing and have ownership over it and pride in it. Or for those of you who are very private people, to be able to be private and still part of a global community or a local community. So I know that's kind of a different answer, but all of the tech that everyone around me is building is building towards that for me, for sure.
I could talk about this all day. If I had to think about something, it would be really this technology is a culmination of value for value, tokenized communities, the ability to reach into the depths where no one else can, and somebody who has value to provide, because all humans can provide value, can now be seen, recognized, and connected with like-minded value makers and create something like you see in Ghana and Venezuela and Cuba and the Philippines. And you're seeing it over and over and over again. So I just like to see the roots keep growing. You have circular economy possibilities with HBD. And now if you get clever with these tokenized communities, what we perceive as value is valuable. If enough people perceive this community token as valuable, it will be valuable. So I think that striking into the hearts where it needs the most and giving people all the abundance. If you provide value, you can get all the abundance and value back. I really strongly believe in that. And I think that Hive is that ladder for anyone that needs to get out of a hole. There is potential now where there wasn't.
Perfect ending for this session, because the music gets louder, the food is waiting, and we are burning in the sun like hell. We will come to your question later on. Thanks again for everyone here on stage. We will be here back on 1:30, depending who like to be burning on stage then. Have lunch now. Get in the shadow if you like to be in a shadow. See you later.
For those of you who aren't aware and have HiveFest wristbands, lunch is available now in Casablanca, up there at the back. The white building with the glass everywhere. You're more than welcome to go grab some. Thank you. We'll be back here in 45 minutes.
wonderful Mr. Brian of London, but I will give the audience a while to show up here after I wake them up at the lunch tables. So 2 more minutes, try to find a place in a shadow like Alpha did perfectly, and then we will go into the next set of a few speeches. And another thing you might heard that we moved Trust Paradox to tomorrow because he had some travel fun which he didn't booked extra coming to that place. So he will be on the stage tomorrow at afternoon, I think. Just changing, if you look to the agenda, the two places between Brian of London and his speech.
Okay. Hey, I'm on.
Brian is already having some sound. This looks good. Now he starts dancing. Let's see how this looks.
I'm here.
Lovely, lovely. I love to have you on stage.
Wait,
Your machine is already working, I hope.
Well, we'll see. I can barely see.
Okay, I think we will see that more and more people will show up later on. There is nothing on yet.
Yes.
Looks better. Brian, you will talk again about value for value podcasting to the music industry.
Yes.
That's interesting.
It's going to be.
The next phase of podcasting 2.0.
Yes. And a couple of other things.
This is what I expected. And as well here, I took some time to have a few drinks with this gentleman, to squeezing out of him some personal facts which you might know or not yet know, but soon you will know, because Brian is so much danger that the United Kingdom has been banned him from Facebook.
Correct.
I heard the story quite a few times, but it's always interesting again. And you are banned permanently.
I was deleted. I was erased. My whole history on Facebook was
by
gone.
order of the UK government.
Yes.
That's tough.
It
You made a
is.
good job.
Yes.
Someone really likes you.
I just built a page for the wrong kind of guy, and bang, I was gone.
Okay, so this is a wonderful and typical case what we love to see in Web 2.0 world. So there's somebody who has the authority to kick your ass, sorry for that, out of protocol or system or whatever. And we all saw it. If I look back in my history, I spent tons of time on that network which got closed, and I spent time, somebody of you know it, Google Plus was a very nice network. I ended up with around 30,000 followers. The other day it was gone because somebody else take decision of the content you generated somewhere. And I don't want to use the F word again. Make some problem to what you created over years, connections you created over years. So that's another reason why we are here, because this won't happen with censorship stuff on Hive. And Brian adds some nice things to it, and you have your 20 minutes now. I try to pick up some more people and move them here.
No problem.
So give me a second and start your show.
So hello everybody, check on the sound levels. Am I a little loud, perhaps? Feeding back? Anyway, I'm Brian of London. I have a witness on Hive. I do DHF stuff. And you know me probably. Can we drop the levels on me? How's that? Any? No, we're still quite loud. I'll move that way down. Still hear me, but not with the... Okay, good, good. Yes, so I do a lot of things. I've done something called Podping in the past. I'll touch on that. I run an app all the time called v4v.app. And, but I'm actually going to start. These are the things I'm going to talk about. So before I get to the music, which believe me, the music is good. Well, the story about the music is interesting. I'm just going to give you an update on this thing, the JPB Liberty ad ban case in Australia. Some of you know about it, some of you don't. Along with another chap called APS Hamilton, who couldn't be here for this HiveFest. He's been to past ones, but Yom Kippur is the Jewish high holy day, and it falls in the middle of this, so it made stuff difficult for him. He and I, and mostly him, and with my assistants, he and I are suing Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and Google for $300 billion for the damage that they did to all of us and the whole of crypto in general. Every Bitcoin holder, Ethereum holder, anybody who was in crypto in 2018 suffered at the hands of those two companies because they banned all advertising of cryptocurrencies. Anyway, we've been pursuing this for 4 years now. We've been actually sort of in Australian court for about 2.5, 3 years. We kind of, COVID got us into court in Australia because they put their entire legal system online, which was fantastic. And in February of this year, he and I both flew to Australia to be in court with the lawyers of Google and the lawyers of Meta, Facebook, sort of me and him, just the two of us, and then we had about 14, 13 lawyers behind us, barrister's assistant, a whole wheelbarrow full of documents for both of these. And we fought their attack on us. And then their first attack was to say, Andrew Hamilton is both incompetent, he's not competent to run this case, he has conflicts of interest with all of the class members, which is everyone in crypto, and also they said that he probably won't have enough money to run the case properly, and so it's better if he doesn't bring the case. We fought back, obviously, and we in fact told the judge that there's a precedent from Canada, which is that an Indian band is suing the tax authorities, and they've run out of money, so the judge in that case has ordered the tax authority in Canada to pay the legal fees of the Indian band during the ongoing case. So we put it to our judge in Australia that if Facebook and Google really believe we don't have enough money, she can order them to pay us, and we will hire a big law firm in Australia and do the job properly. So that's the case. We're waiting on a judgment from that that hearing in February, but court moves very, very slowly. Value for value app. I don't know if anybody can see what's behind me, so I can't. Anyway, value for value app lets you change between Lightning, which is a layer 2 thing on top of Bitcoin that is fast and sort of feeless, and Hive. And people are using this. They can give Hive and get a Lightning invoice paid, which can pay on services like there are a lot of services that you can pay for with Lightning. And if you do this, you can use your Hive directly to buy a pizza or get a Visa prepaid card or get an eSIM. In fact, I'm using an electronic SIM that I bought with Lightning, but my Hive paid for the Lightning to get me an eSIM to be here to use my phone. So that's what I do. And lots of people like using it. It's used in Cuba and Venezuela, and it's a grassroots way of subverting the system, because a lot of venture capital money has gone into Lightning to try and get merchant adoption. I don't know how successful they're being, but this is a way that we get to use their venture capital money without us having to get into bed with the venture capital people. So we like that here on Hive. So that was a whirlwind tour of 2 topics. And now I'm going to try, and I picked a really fun day for this, I'm going to try and explain something a bit more, not on the slides. I've got some apps I'm going to show you. I want to talk to you about the music business. Now, we all hear music. I mean, we're hearing a mariachi band playing there live. But in the world of recorded music that you stream online, not everything is happy. It has been captured by the centralized forces. You've got your Spotify, you've got Apple Music, you've got Google Music, and that's pretty much it. And artists, other than a very, very tiny top tier, artists get messed out. They do not get paid for music that you stream. You can read a million stories of artists whose tracks and so on are published on Spotify, and they get tens of thousands of streams, and a year later they get $15, and it just doesn't seem fair. What I have been working on for 2.5 years is podcasting, and a way that you can reward podcasts that you listen to directly, and the method is this thing Lightning, this layer 2 on Bitcoin, where as you listen to a podcast, you can send sats. And we developed this, and in fact I turned it on all of 3Speak's videos. Every video channel on 3Speak is also a video podcast, and it is automatically enabled in this SAT streaming value for value system. And I've probably not done as good a job of promoting that to the people on 3Speak and Hive as I should have done. So I'm going to try and do better. But what's happened now is one particular guy who, let's see, I'm going to play a video that I think I've played before. I'm going to play a video, maybe, I don't know if it can be seen. Is it going to come back up? I think when my laptop goes to sleep, it causes chaos. There we go. Anybody know that? Can you recognize in the sun the gentleman in the middle? Anyone recognize him? No, it's Steve Jobs. This is in the middle. This is Steve Jobs. He doesn't matter. He's talking to Kara Swisher and Walt Mossberg. And this is the very first time podcasts were introduced to anyone. And I'm going to just play this little clip.
One of the guys that invented podcasting. And he has a podcast called The Daily Source. Let me go ahead and subscribe to that. And we can go listen to his latest one. Just click on it.
Your daily source code, show number 180. Something remarkable is happening here. Radio is springing free of the regulated gatekeepers who've managed what you can hear since radio was invented.
It's Adam Curry.
That's right, it's show number 180, and it's Friday, everybody. Thank God. I've actually had to restart the show 3 times. My Mac has been acting up like a motherfucker. I don't know what's going on. I think it's something to do with the file system.
Okay.
So obviously, that is the genius of Steve Jobs, because he picked a clip from a show, a podcast, one of the first, probably the first 2 podcasts. One of them was by this guy, Adam Curry, and his show was called The Daily Source Code. And Steve Jobs picked that clip to play where he said, my Mac has been acting like a motherfucker because 1, it had a rude word in it, and 2, Steve Jobs just understood self-deprecating humor properly. But that show that Adam Curry used to do in 2005 and onwards, he used to talk about the coding that was underneath podcasting, which was growing, and at the same time he would intersperse this with music tracks that he would play, and he would just pull a track, play it into his podcast, and then send it out. This, of course, is highly illegal, and at any moment, but not back in 2005, the police could have banged on his door and come and hauled him away to prison at the behest of the music publishing industries, because he had no rights to play music tracks, well-known music. And to this day, there is no legal way to license music to play in a podcast. You cannot take the Beatles. There is no authority you can go to and say, I would like a license to play the Beatles in my podcast. There's very, very complicated mechanisms around online radio and streaming radio. You can get rights for that. It's very expensive. It's complicated. There's just these gatekeepers in the way. ASCAP, BMI, companies that collect royalties on behalf of writers and performers. It's a total mess. And for all these years, what happened was radio has declined, but nothing has come up. There's no radio disc jockey that you can listen to in a podcast form. So what we've done with Podcasting 2.0 is invent this, and invent all of the mechanisms necessary to publish music, say who should get paid, and if a listener wants to, as in if a listener values the music they're hearing, send value back the other way. And we've done this within the framework of podcasts because podcasts are still free. Not free money, they are free of the influence of big tech. Big tech has not managed to crush and own podcasting. You can get your own server, put up an RSS feed, serve your MP3s. You don't need YouTube to do it. Now, a lot of people will use podcasting hosts, but even there's a wide range of them. And so let's see if I can try and do. This thing's gone to sleep again. This is the hard part. Now I'm going to play you. You just heard a very short snippet of Adam Curry from way back when. Let's see if this works.
Boosting is lovely. Boost, boost, boost. Hello, everybody. Coming to you directly from the Texas Hill Country. It is Boostagram Ball, episode number 8. Songs you can't hear on the radio.
Somebody told me you're in San Francisco. They said you work in it.
Now back down, sorry. Sorry to give you guys such a headache. What I just played was the opening of Adam Curry's new show. It's called Boostagram Ball. And on that show, he plays new music, brand new music, uploaded as if it were podcasts. I'm not going to go into the technicalities of that. But each one of those tracks, and I was using this window here, when I started playing, you had one piece of artwork. When it got onto the track, it switched. And that's the artwork for the track that's playing. And while people are listening, they can stream sats to his podcast. And whilst he's playing a song, 90% of the sats will go to the song, and he keeps 10% because he's doing a valuable job. He's doing what we on Hive call curation. And this is really new. This has been going 3 or 4 months. The tools are not built yet to make this easy to do. But even with the real terrible tools that exist, artists are finding it. And there's a, let's see if I can find this. There's a list. That's not the one. I've lost the window for this, but podcast index dot. There's a top 100. So here we have the top 100 of music. Now this is changing every hour, and this is approximately based on the number of sats, how much fractions of Bitcoin these artists have received over the last week for their songs. And if I click on any one of these songs, I don't know this particular one, but I'm going to click on it and press play.
I'm not made for.
And what you get is music. Music uploaded directly by the artist. And there's a box there. I can hit boost. I'll do that afterwards. So I'm going to send a couple of bucks. Let's see if this works here. I'm going to hit boost. I'm probably going to have to put in a passcode. Confirm. Okay, I've sent $1.33. $1.33 will now go to Adam Curry, and he will split that, and 90% will go to the artist, direct. No ASCAP, no BMI, no music publisher, no EMI Thorn, none of those guys get it. It's the artist and Adam Curry for helping me find it, because it was on his show. Actually, no, this one was direct. I got it from the Adam Curry won't get. But the reason I'm telling Hive audience is this is a new field, okay? Hive can be embedded in it. I've got the gateway between Sats and Hive. The tools are there. If this interests anybody, any developers, and I'm talking to the audience in the sun and the audience at home, contact me because I'm going to put you into the world where we discuss this. And there's so many tools that can be built. Music, dedicated music hosting. And music hosting is so much easier than video because these are tiny little files. They're nothing. Music hosting as a podcast, put it out there, publish, and all of the facilities that we have on Hive can be added on the top. The community, an artist building a community around their music and being rewarded when people play that music. I'm just one guy, and I'm already doing V for V. Behind the scenes is a thing called PodPing, which announces anytime a new track is published, that gets written to Hive as a custom JSON. And that system's been running perfectly for 2 years now. So we're already in this, and I'm just trying to spark some enthusiasm and get people to send me a mail, or find me on Hive, post a comment, and come join me and help build some stuff for music and music 2.0 and streaming sats. All right, I think I've reached the end, so any questions, and I'll let Detlev take over.
Yeah, I really enjoy what you are doing, as I know so many musicians who get, again, no effort here with the music industry. And this is a way to make it easy to them to connect to earnings, to stuff they did beneath playing on stages. So we need to probably find a way to get some more people who react on your clear call to action. Talk to him. If you're in music, if you like to do more with music, there is already some function working, and I guess you need a little bit more front-end stuff and some other things.
It's front end, it's back end, it's developing. It's throwing some ideas in, and I've got some ideas with the Oriole team, and I know we've got talent, and I know some of it's looking for directions to go, and this is one of those directions that I think is ripe for us. We've got so much of the infrastructure. I mean, I didn't mention, like, one of the core parts, one of the cool parts is something we have on Hive. Within the what's called the value block for each song, you can split it. So you can give the bassist, the lead guitarist, the vocalist, and the drummer if he hasn't spontaneously combusted and died by now. But you can split a track 25, 25, 25, and in perpetuity, those sats will just follow you around whenever that track is played in any of these systems. So we're heading in a good direction, I think, which is direct from the audience to the value receiver without lots and lots of middlemen.
So for what are you looking most? More hands to help you to build something, or more people who build own apps relying on the technology you created?
Everything. I mean, all levels of development. If you're already hosting files, or you can do a bit of front end work, and you think, I can show you where front ends need to be built that combine Hive and combine this value for value. It was very easy, for example, to put value blocks into every one of 3Speak's videos. We can do that a step further and host music within Hive that appears as podcasts everywhere, and that we've got a good window here, because anything you produce now, Adam Curry will promote the hell out of it. And what's happened to some of the artists that he plays on Booster Grand Ball is, these are artists who've been uploading their tracks to Spotify for 10 years, and they've got $50, and suddenly they get boosted by Adam Curry, and they make $200 in a weekend of Bitcoin, and they're going like, how on earth did that happen?
Okay, we will have a few beers on this evening, because I guess this is a longer story. And if we switch you on again, you might have a few more stories for us. Thank you very much. Now Perfect. And even more, if there is somebody around who loves music and like to help out there, I think there's maybe as well a little thing to earn on it. Connect with Brian. Now, we go to another topic where we have Mark and Disregard Fiat on stage. And we will talk about the SPK network testnet plus Honeycomb and implications of the future of P2P storage technology. Who? Okay, you will explain this with way more easy word. And he brought a friend and business colleague on stage who doesn't want to have a microphone. We solved this. And Mark and Disregard Fiat know each other quite a while. They've been together on a Navy aircraft carrier. And I heard some stories that you might tell later on with a beer, or it belongs to you. I don't know where you are coming from at the moment because we made this last minute. So introduce yourself with a few words, and Disregard Fiat, you were on stage already. I repeat that you live in wonderful Paraguay and have some activity with your funny NFT pick. I still don't fully understand, but you have a few minutes to explain it now or maybe later.
So if you've seen my NFT, the one that I have on my profile picture, I'm wearing a Borat mankini, and it's because I went to a swimsuit competition that ended with me getting arrested in a Borat mankini.
Bit closer. Sorry.
Did anybody not understand that? Or do I need to do a better
We got it.
again?
I think we got it. And we could imagine the pictures.
The pictures are amazing. Just
Yeah.
ask me.
Okay. Your stage, 20 minutes. Have some fun. We have 5-10 minutes for questions afterwards.
All right.
Fantastic. Hey, everybody. Yeah, so like he said, I'm Marky Giles. Most of you probably don't know me, but I do, whereas he does a lot of back-end development, I do a lot of front-end development and figuring out like user interfaces and how people might actually use some of these crazy decentralized file storage protocols. So that's why I'm up here, to kind of be the yin to the yang.
Yeah, it's true because, like, say Matt or Dan will ask for a feature, and we're like, yeah, that's possible. And then he'll be like, this doesn't seem even remotely usable. So there's a big process that goes into all of this stuff, and we're getting pretty close to feature complete on at least the Speak network, and we're going to show off some of what Honeycomb can do, in fact.
That's right. Boy, it is. Oh, you probably have to click it a couple of times there.
Yeah.
So Deluxe IO is a progressive web app, and that's PWA for short. And if anyone doesn't know what a progressive web app is, it's a website that behaves a lot like a native app. And with every operating system release from both Apple and Android, their progressive web app support gets better each and every time. And so like PeakD is a fantastic PWA. Deluxe this year finally became a full mobile-friendly PWA. And we really see this as a huge opportunity for Hive because it allows you to do most of the things that you can do on your phone, but without being in an app store. And so it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do when app stores are not so crypto-friendly. And so Deluxe became a PWA. We're building new features all the time, and we're finally announcing our own way to sign in without Keychain or Hive Auth or Hive Signer, but allowing people to store their keys locally in their PWA, which is something that PWAs are fantastic for. You can store your keys locally, and it's not a problem at all if you trust the site.
Right. And a lot of this goes back to the fact that we have a system of censorship-resistant data on our Hive layer. But if you want to build a community of it or some variety like that, you need to have a way to have your users get to that data. So having these open source client-side rendered front ends that allow people to get access to their data, they would still be able to upload a video to 3Speak or do anything like this. All they have to do is copy our code, change Deluxe to whatever your name is, and put it somewhere else. We encourage this. We want mirrors of everything, just like we have PeakD and Hive Blog and Ecency. So hopefully this is how it goes in the future.
Yeah, everything we put out is open source, so we see a future of clonable user interfaces where, you know, if you're a content creator and you see an interface that you like, you go and clone that interface, and now it's yours. You can rebrand it your own way and bring your own community to it.
So Honeycomb is a layer 2, and just like everything else we've talked about. We have a few different options for layer 2 on Hive. So you have Hive Engine, for instance, and Hive Engine's got a lot better people. It's actually decentralized, but the problem is it gets pretty chunky really fast. Like if I want to run a community for, maybe we really like beer, so we can go out here and now I have to run everybody else's community, and it gets a little too beefy for just me, and maybe I don't want to do that kind of thing. So this also lets you take more of a personal approach to what you actually want to run. So if I want to run a Speak Network node and a Deluxe node, I can do that without running, say, the beer node on Hive Engine. These are all multi-signature enabled, so the community will still have trusted people to run the wallet. It has an integrated DEX, so you don't have to worry about, oh, how am I going to list my coins? It just runs.
Yeah, what you can't really make out on this screen right now is just screenshots of our PWA. And what we've got here, we're showing off our decentralized exchange, which currently has 3 different tokens. That's been up for quite a while. Some days there's actually pretty heavy volume through there. Then also we have our wallet, which supports our own system of power-up and our own system of governance. So it really gives any community the flexibility to have a full governance structure with, power-ups, governing ups, things like that. And then finally, the NFT marketplace. We do allow for minting NFTs on our layer 2, and we have a full-fledged marketplace for that.
Right, and as more people use Honeycomb for different things, the logic that powers, say, an NFT market or the Speak Network, those are just pieces of code that you can copy and paste into whatever your logic is. So as more people use it, hopefully it gets more user-friendly with more features. Also, the fact that these things are just powered by an API. So all I have to do is start a new community, type in an API, and suddenly the DEX works. The NFT marketplace would work if you have NFTs enabled on yours. So we're just trying to make a wallet for everybody as well.
Yeah. Speak Network stuff. It's going to be really wild how this evolves, because right now we're talking about incentivizing storage of any file that you can prove you're hosting on IPFS, essentially. And so the implications for that are insane once you decentralize file storage. And we are creating interfaces that allow users to control what that looks like. Me as a node operator, I could choose which content I want to pin and host. I'm in California, so the implications of the content that I'm storing on my hard drive could be vastly different than what somebody, in another country could be storing legally. And so I think having the flexibility in terms, just like when you choose a server, where are you storing your files, which country or which jurisdiction are you in, what are the implications with putting your data there, we're going to start to see a lot of that as we move into decentralized file storage as well. It's going to be really fascinating to see how it evolves.
That is very true. Like, we really just couldn't release a file storage system without some sort of ability to individually censor or work the network that way. Just on a personal standpoint, like, there's a lot of content that I wouldn't want on the system, but at the same time, other people, well, we can't say it for everything. I won't agree. But some people think, oh, I should be able to store anything I want. And it's our job as a community of people who use this to not incentivize them to store stuff we don't agree with. So we have the ability to choose what we store. We also have the ability to choose what we incentivize. But at the same time, it's still censorship resistant. And part of this is, it's a complex system. It's a complex operation. And like Mark was saying, or like what I was saying, Mark tells me, like, this isn't just possible. So we have up here like a create contract screen, and I'm sure you can't see it. But it is also just as easy to say, have 3Speak run the contracts, and as soon as you log in with your username, they create the contract for you. And the only additional step besides upload is sign. So you're just saying, I personally sign this, so we can track the provenance and integrity of these files all the way through their lifespan. I can't see.
What's next?
What is this?
It's the contract.
Oh, okay.
There could be as well a monitor in front of you, but I think there's as much sun on it.
I don't even I see black here. I can check my hat.
What's on the screen is it's a post that's just under 20 megabytes in terms of data size, and it shows how long the contract exists for it to stay pinned in IPFS. And any other user who wants to come and see that content and say, actually, I feel this content is very valuable, I want to extend that pinning contract by a week or by a year or whatever it is. We're giving individual user control over the ability to actually pay to store that content for longer. And I don't think this is a feature most users are going to want, but this is where we need to start so that we can build it manually and then begin to automate it from there.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, I want to pay to store this or pay to get it more stored. You can go on there yourself and say, I want to store this. And as long as you have the software set up like you're running a node, your node will say, oh, he wants to store it now. It'll grab it for you, and you'll start being paid to have it. So it lets you say, like, oh, I'm involved in this community. I'm going to store this content because it's what interests me. And maybe you're not even into it for the incentivization. Let's see. Right. Yeah. So another thing is this is more than videos. We can store our config files. We can store our logic for our smart contracts. We can do anything that a computer would do on IPFS with this, which allows, Honeycomb in general just to get more and more easy to use. I would be able to decentralize a storage of some UI that I could then build a config file, build some smart contracts, store that on IPFS, and anybody else who wants to join the community just has to download the software and type in a code, and it'll just self-assemble itself.
And so this is all running the Speak testnet, which is up and running for the most part. And we're finding the holes, but we're plugging them.
Right. So I think Nathan's going to actually talk about the proof of access algorithm, so I'm going to skip that. And more stuff you just can't see.
Yeah, these are just more posts. So we have what we call the hub. The hub supports AR, VR, basically any type of content you could imagine, not just video, not just photo, but literal like 3D models and web VR, things like that. And our entire platform is designed to be responsive, not just in terms of mobile and desktop, but also headset as well. And so, there's 20 million Quest 2s out in the wild, and next year Apple is entering the headset space as well. So we really see the headset space as a long-term strategy, and that's why we have built the infrastructure to enable literally any kind of content, even three-dimensional teleportation content. If you can kind of imagine it, it can exist on our hub, and so that's what was up. This is what the NFT marketplace looks like. We've done 3 NFT sets now. We did one with Lord Butterfly. We did the bees, and then our original, which is just our deluxe logo. So we've learned a lot by doing the NFT sets. That space has cooled off quite a bit, but the infrastructure is there, and we still think that it is it's a useful technology, still searching for a purpose.
Right. We're gonna at least have a game running on our system with Duat, the Ragnarok game.
Yeah, the Ragnarok game will use Duat NFTs.
And there's other uses for NFTs as well. They can store logic on them. They can do executable things. So this is a space we're kind of interested in, and it just shows that once we build it once, we can give it away basically for free, and anybody can use it.
Yep.
And these can also be apps. They can just as easily run in our app containers that we've built. So like he was saying, anything that you can imagine. You can build UI for your own cryptocurrencies, your own businesses, your own communities, or even like, say, a Hive function, and post it in an app on Deluxe that we can then, because it's just open source, somebody can say, oh, I can make this a little better. And the entire time, instead of paying somebody to do it, you're getting rewarded because you're posting it on Hive.
And I don't know if you can make it out, but that is the bathing suit in question.
Yeah, that is the bathing suit in question.
This is something new that we just started working on. We started hacking it together. While we've tackled, how we envision our network, hub, and we've tackled NFTs and we've tackled decentralized exchange, we still see a fundamental break in the Hive onboarding process. And so we're going to throw our hat into the ring in terms of how we think onboarding could work. And so what we're envisioning is a QR code that any user would scan, and it would be like your profile card. It would take you to your profile. But on there, if you're not logged in, you could enter a onboarding flow that will allow you to create a account but not finish it. And the request will be sent back to whoever QR code you scanned, and they'll receive a notification to approve that request for account creation. And once they approve it, they can approve it with an account creation token or with 3Hive, whatever the market rate is. Or they could forward that request onto a sponsorship account, maybe that has hundreds of ACTs, or maybe that grants use of their ACTs to their communities. So creating a system where you onboard a user, but they're not stuck. Their request now exists, and you can either approve that request or you can forward that request on. And they can see their status as pending until that request is approved. So really closing the loop on how account creation works for a user without leaving them stranded, we think is really important.
Right, and all of these would usually be like face-to-face people instead of somebody who's just reading a script to get a whole bunch of emails and get accounts the free way. So hopefully this will enable a lot more tracking, and we can see like, oh, this person here is doing a lot of outreach because they're actually generating a lot of accounts that are getting used.
So that's coming soon. We're building that now. So yeah, Honeycomb. It's launch your own community token with nodes, control your community smart contracts, and control your community API. So Honeycomb is really just about node networks that you control. And we just published a proposal.
Right, we have a proposal 275, which just takes the funding that we have from last year into next year. So if you're interested in that and approving funds for cool Hivians, go ahead and give us a look.
Yeah, I think the last slide is just, yep, Hive proposal 275. No QR code, not that you'd be able to see it anyway, but yeah, please do vote for our proposal because, like I said, everything we do is open source. We give it away for free. We want people to clone our work. We want people to use it. We want people to have their own communities and have where these algorithms on these platforms are going to get more and more powerful. And we think you should have choice and freedom in which platforms you're using and which algorithms you're training. And so you having the ability to go choose a different front end, that's incredible. We think that that's very, very valuable, and it's only going to get more valuable. So yeah, please vote for our proposal. And I think that's all we got.
Questions?
Again, a very clear call to action. Please vote to 275. And you are around since a while, so people probably know you, saw this one, and even online, have a look of what they did and try to support it as much as you can. I really enjoyed, and this is my first question, the account creation stuff. I helped so many people to create an account, and then, they didn't got it, it was too complex, it was, how many keys do I have to store somewhere? Most of the people are not getting it at the first time, maybe a few weeks later. So how is this be used? Is this free for other communities?
Oh yeah, it'll be free, and mostly what it does is just loads up a web page where they'll be able to make their own credentials. They'll then put those credentials into a signer and encrypt it into a memo and send it off to the person they got it from. So it's the only part that they have to actually do is copy their master password down somewhere.
It's just choose a username and save that master password somewhere. And as long as the user does that, then that onboarder, the person recruiting them onto the chain, it goes right back to them and says, hey, this account's ready to be created. Do you want to approve it?
So
Use your resources.
It gives as well nice feedback when I spread my QR code to get some people into the chain by using this. I see, now Peter, whatever, is doing it, and I can use one of my hundreds resource creation things to
Exactly.
help him. Yep.
Exactly.
Cool, thanks. More questions from the audience?
Perfect.
Okay.
I guess we did a great job explaining it.
You did a wonderful job, and now you are allowed to go out of the sun again.
Hey.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. So much things are going on. I'm really keen to play with all this. I try to write down all the cool tools more and more. It will be tough days after HiveFest. Now we have Smooms with us, and I'm happy to have another German on the stage. He is a guy who created the nice magazine you sitting on, or you having in front of you, or you might already read a little bit about. But I as well squeezed a little bit information out of him as well, and he is someone who really enjoys as a specialist video games. He gave me the word connoisseur of video games. My French is not existing, but this would go into that direction. And you love doing graphic design. We see with the magazines that you love it. But a hidden secret, I squeezed a little bit longer, is that he's as well a guitar player. So we getting together soon, the band we have to form on Hive, guitar player, accordion. I think there are some singers or other musicians around, so next HiveFest will be fun. Smooms, your stage, 20 minutes, rock and roll.
Thank you very much. No power. I'll take this. Hello. So, I'm Smooms from Team Highquarter. So I think everyone already seen this magazine here. Can everyone hold this in the air? Come on. Everyone. You too. You too. Yes. Nice. So we were at the HiveFest in Amsterdam last year too. So we made the first physical edition last year for the HiveFest in Amsterdam because it was the first physical HiveFest ever. So today is the second physical HiveFest, and we are in Mexico. So what else should we do to make the second physical official HiveFest magazine for the HiveFest? So how are you guys doing? Do you enjoy your stay at Mexico? Say hell yeah. Nice. So, hello? Yes. So the physical magazine is basically built like the digital we do at Hive. So our team is like, we have a core team. It's basically 3 people. Like Quaker is sitting in front of me right now. Me, and we also have a German lector that is staying in Austria right now because she has to work. And is not with us right now, sadly, but the core team is containing of 3 of us, and we also have some kind of supporter characters for Hive, for the HiQ magazine that are doing some kind of proofreading in English and writing articles. So proofreading in English is made by Tengolo Todo. I think maybe a few of you may know him already. And then we have also some writers for the articles. For example, Temesgira is one of them. And do we have something in mind too? Raven Music, yeah, Raven Music. She also does music on Hive and is also affiliated with a lot of games on Hive. And we'll talk about games on Hive later on in this presentation also. But let's do it. Oh yeah. As I said, we have a magazine on the blockchain as well. So the English digital version is reachable under hiq.magazine, and the German one is reachable under hiq. Yeah, just have a look and have fun reading the digital issues of hiq magazine. Huh? Doesn't want to? No. So, and if you rotate the physical magazine by 180 degrees by the Z-axis. You get the HiveFest program and venues pages, and with a glossary and the sites to see in Rosarito. So yeah, it was a design choice. It's no printing error or something like that. So yeah, just keep that in mind. We did that in Amsterdam as well, by the way. So, but as last year, we are still not only the HiQ or not only the magazine. We also have a landing page where you can see the other projects that we're into right now. So basically, for example, I mean, it's really small right now, but what we do is like we have a witness node running for, I think, 1 year and a few months right now, or 1.5 years or something like that. And we also have some kind of, we call it a couragement service. We have a token on Hive Engine that you can stake, and the more of these tokens, it's called HiQs, by the way, so HIQS. And the more you have staked, you can comment exclamation point HiQ vote under a comment and under a post as a comment, and then our curation trail votes this post for you. If you think you like a post, for example, and want to reward it even more. So, and another, it is really small. But another project we are building up right now is, and that's what I really wanted to talk with you about, is we are building a, okay, you can see everything, of course, but yeah. We are building a mini, not a mini game, we are building a trading card game on Hive right now. We are calling it Crafting. So our idea was we wanted to have NFTs of ourselves, but our thinking always was not to just build NFTs and you can't do things with these NFTs. You should also do things with these NFTs. And what best would it be to make a game, for example, in our thing now, a trading card game, where you have like trading card games of Hivians and you can play with them. So we built Crafting. It's a play-to-earn NFT trading card game, and it runs exclusively on Hive. So in the future, it should be a turn-based trading card game. So like, for example, I don't know if you know them, but it's like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the Pokemon trading card game, for example. And we also took some inspiration from that games as well. But in our game, we introduced some kind of unique gameplay mechanics. We also, wait a second, I have to take my duffel bag out for that. Give me a second. What we did to balance the game and also to create the cards, we made like, here, can you go around and show them? We made some physical cards to play in real life. So in the future, you will not have physical cards, but they are all NFTs on Hive Engine. And yeah, in the future, you could also play a turn-based trading card game with our cards. And for developing the whole thing, there's a whole stack of technological aspects we are using right now. For example, Hive Engine, as I told you, for the infrastructure with the pack manager and for the NFT instances when you unpack a pack and get the cards from that, and Vue.js for the front end, and for the back end we have Python, MongoDB, MariaDB for the databases, and yeah, of course, JavaScript for the front end because Vue. And in the future, when the main game will launch too, we will use Unity for the front end for the game later on. And yeah. So at this moment, we have one booster edition. We call it the Crafting Editorial Office. In this booster edition, you have 63 cards in total. 10 of those are officers. Those are like, if you know, like Splinterlands, those are like summoner cards, and you can only have one officer in each deck you build. So if you, one officer each in each deck. And you have like 17 individual characters. You have like 18 item cards that are like cards to trigger some effects, for example, and you have react cards where you can react to something your enemy does, and you have filling cards, or 5 different filling cards that are like energy cards to play out other cards in the main game later on. So yeah. And here are all the character cards listed. I mean, you can't see them that well, but yeah, we'll talk about that later. I mean, we have them all shown on our website and on our Discord server as well. So those are the item and react cards and also the filling cards. And we have, yeah. So we have the rarity set up as common. So common are the most or the least rarest cards that we have. You have a probability of 70%. The uncommon are like a little bit more rare, and they have a probability of 20%. The rare are the second most rarest cards. They have a probability of 8%, and then we have ultra rare cards in each booster pack, or each card when it gets rolled can be an ultra rare, with a probability of 2%, and each card you draw has a probability of 3% to be a holo card. So not gold cards like in other trading card games, just to flex a little bit here, but holo cards like the real trading cards you get out of a booster pack when you buy Pokemon cards, for example. So at this moment of at this time, we have like a mini game in pre-alpha stage right now, so you can already build your teams with the cards you already acquired. We want to. When did we want to go live with the mini game? I think tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. So if you build your team now, you don't have to pay for the access for the mini game. You just have to buy booster packs, get some cards, build your team, and then you are in for the next seasons as well. If you want to play the game, we have our QR code there on the monitor, so you can scan it right now, or just scan the QR code from the HiQ magazine. There's some advertisement for that as well. Or you just join playcrafting.com, and you can go on. You can log in onto the site with Hive Keychain. All runs on Hive Keychain, and yeah, that's everything from that. So the mini game, what works right now is you can build your team. So basically, you have the page where you can see what team you have, and if you have no team set up, then there's a button where you can click to build your team. You get put to the next site. So you have your filling cap for setting up your team. It is at -15 filling at first, so you have to put in at least 15 filling to set up your first team. But you then have a filling cap of 0, and that is pretty hard to set up a team with 0 filling. I come back to that later. But what you have to do, you drag the filling cards on top of that ink container on the left side, and then you get this, I don't think you can see it, but there's some kind of text box where you can put the amount of filling you want to put into your box, and press on confirm, and then it puts the filling into your box. And you do that for as long as you are satisfied with the amount of filling in your box. And when you're ready, there comes a button where you can confirm your filling and come to the next page where, I have to point this way, where you can set up your team. So you have like 5 slots. The slots in this example are already filled out, but you can draw your cards from the right side onto the left side where the slots are free. What you have to keep in mind is you have like, let's say, for example, this card, you have like 2 numbers. It's pretty hard to see, but on the website it is not, so that's good, I think. So you have like the ink cost for each card on the card, and depending on your ink, on your filling cap that you have throughout the filling you put into your card, into your pack already, you can set up your team. The first 2 slots from top to bottom are like the attacking slots. The bottom 2 are like the defending slots for the minigame, and the middle one is like the wild card. It's used for attack and defense as well. If you have questions, I don't have to go into detail that much, but if you have questions, I mean, we are here, so yeah. Oh, no, the other way around. So when you set up your team, it gets sent to our account. We, with our account, check if the cards that you entered are the right ones and that every card is on our account. And if that's the case, we create an NFT where every card that you want to put in this box is nested into. And if you don't want to use that box anymore, you can burn the NFT and get your cards back. And out of the NFT, out of the properties from this NFT, we can also read what attack power and what defense power you have. And also in the later runs, we also want to have effect blends where you can have like some base recipes for effects. And it works the same way, but with other cards then, of course. And yeah, as soon as the matches will start, we will take every user who has a simp. We call it simp because sim is for crafting idle mode, and the B at the end is for box. So it's a sim. It's a crafting idle mode box, and everyone who has a crafting idle mode box will automatically join the first season of the game, gets grouped into 10-person groups, and we will let you battle things out for reaching the top list of season 1 of crafting idle mode. Join now. So that's it for today, and yeah, now it's your time to shine. Do we have any questions? You, maybe you.
A game, a magazine, a designer, guitar player, what else is on?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything.
Are there any questions regarding the game or the magazine or whatever?
Who was first?
I steal your microphone and give it to him, and I bring it back for sure.
Hi. I don't know if I missed this or not, but did you already explain where you'll actually what you will use to host the actual NFTs? Will it be Hive Engine, Honeycomb, or do you have any idea on which blockchain you'll use or service, basically?
So yeah, good question. As I said in the beginning, I mean it was in the beginning, so it's easy to forget. But yeah, we're using Hive Engine, and throughout Hive Engine, they already have some kind of like pack manager system where you can basically you create a Hive Engine token, and you can make NFTs out of that token, and with the pack manager system you can create like NFT instances out of the NFTs you use for the packs. So basically if you open an NFT or open the pack, which is an NFT, you create 5 instances out of each pack. And that is all stored in the Hive engine. And also, like I said, we want to have this NFT, which is the box where you can put your teams in as well, so that it is all stored on the Hive blockchain or in the second layer Hive engine, so everyone can see what it is really stored. And yeah, so it is. Not in some database of ours, but it is really a Hive game. So that was what we are planning. Yeah, no problem. You had a question too. It's good. Okay. Yeah.
We have a second microphone. Lovely.
So if you wanted to have a story featured on the magazine, or you wanted to be featured on it, how would you go about that?
You can talk to us. So we always feature projects in our magazine. You mean in the digital edition? Or yeah. So we love if people bring stories that we can write about to us, so that we don't have to look for them. So if you have something we can write about, you can join our Discord. There's also a QR code in this magazine I can show you afterwards. But yeah, if you have something, just hook us up. Yeah, it's no problem.
I guess it's just a comment. It's not really a question, because I just was having conversation about usually break down on communication within the Hive project, because it's very spread out. we kind of know what's going on. We kind of know where the goal is at, like improve account creation, improve outreach, and there's solutions that people create, but no, the other 90 or 80% of the community don't find out. So
Never heard about.
yeah, so having a magazine, I think, is a very good way to get it. Now, maybe if we can like hook it up with like a show on 3Speak, just read out the articles like an advance or something like that.
It's
could
good
use
that
better.
you say that. We already have a show on 3Speak, and it's nice that you mentioned that because I totally forgot in my presentation. But now is the time to announce the HiQ Smartcast. It's reachable through at hiq.smartcast, and there we have every issue that we put out on Hive. So we have like the editorial meeting posts once a week, and the main magazines the last Wednesday of the month, and one day after the English version that gets read for the Smartcast as well. And it already exists. I think last year you said the same, something like that. And then we, I guess there was something like that. And then we had it's a user from the Austrian community, who is German speaking too, and his English is pretty good. So he said he could do stuff like that, and he offered us that he could do that. And now we're doing that, like I think 34 or 35 editions of the Smartcast now, yeah, or weeks basically, yeah. Yeah, and it's on Podping too, because the 3Speak videos get put on Podping automatically. Yeah. Any more questions? No? Do you have questions, Detlef?
No, I'm renovating the stage.
Yeah? Yeah, looks nice. No questions? Ah, here. Starcast has a question. Throw it to him. Ask away.
Can you show me the front cover?
Is it nice?
How do you make me look as beautiful as Crimmy on the front cover?
It's like AI magic in Photoshop. I just
for me, right?
Yeah,
Crimmy's a natural.
Put away the beard, and then it's basically the same image.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Booms.
We'll contact you for the next story cover then.
I mean, we can talk about things. So the more money you pay, the more beautiful you get.
This is a nice feature on.
I mean, it's a lot of work to put away the beard. So yeah, it's a lot of beard.
Okay, thanks a lot for all your time. Thanks a lot for all the input. I'm more than happy to again support whatever you do. We are talking quite a lot about this. So thank you very much. And yeah, see you around the next 2 days.
Yeah, let's hope we meet at the Beer Saturday later. Huh?
5:30 over
I'm
there.
looking forward to this.
Thank you. I keep the mic. Yeah. Thanks. Here's applause. Okay, now, the clicker. Yeah. Now I like to have Alessandra over there on stage. I already have a spare microphone for you. So we are working on microphones. So the Hive sign or the Hive words, letters are reassembled again, so it looks close to lovely. I will have Alexandra for 2 speeches on a stage. The first one is that she talks about more than the apps, so building and sustaining Hive through strong communities. You all know communities are king. We did a lot of things in communities. I spent several years to even build up my beer community with now more than 2,000 people who are active worldwide. Especially if I never had the idea to build a community, it's a nice achievement. But we will hear a little bit more whenever the fight with the badge is won by, hopefully not the badge. Alexandra, come on stage. We talked about a few things you do, and I already have a list of activities you are in. So I try to find out where is this secret fun fact about you. So you are a futurist, you are a founder, you play classical clarinet. One more member for our Hive band, by the way.
Is there a Hive band?
Now we form one. We have to bring the band back together for the people who know the movie. You're an architectural designer, so the next house will be built by you, and as well a voice actor. I saw the microphone on your neck the other day. Yeah.
I've never worn one of these before. Am I too close to the mic?
No, it's fine.
No, it's good. Okay.
Yeah. So, is there anything what you as well like to tell us what you're doing?
I would. Collaboration is also a king. And with clarinet, classical clarinet, one of the creators that came into the community was a composer, but he hadn't composed in 15 years. And our working together in community, he didn't know what I did. I didn't know what he did. But over the course of our working together in community, there's now a piece, a full concertino that's been written that I am premiering in Europe, in England.
Cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this.
You never know what's going to happen.
That's the beauty of Hive or the beauty of life, however you name it. You are as well quite active with the exhibition we have over there.
Yes, yes.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I would. My good friend Shadow's Pub is creating generative art every single day. And that's just the jumping off point. We thought it was, oh, she's going to be an artist. No, that's just the jumping off point. And so she was already working in NFT showroom, and I was like, oh, good for you, I don't get it. And then Crimmy comes up with the idea that for HiveFest, we should submit art and have an exhibition.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, well, how will this art be shown? Well, don't ask Max Starkey anything, because he'll put you to work.
Okay, for everybody who didn't know what's going on, the top floor over there is some art waiting for you to be visited, to be interact with, to be seen. So from there, I'll leave you the stage. Here is the clicker if you accidentally have some
I
slides.
want the click. I've seen clicker disasters. Can you give me the clicker tutorial?
I think you have to click here if there is a cat, for example.
There's the cat.
Yeah. If you click back,
Here, show me.
that direction,
Yeah.
and that direction goes back, because this is the first slide, there won't be any other.
Okay, let's see if I can do it.
Perfect.
Do you believe in me?
I believe fully in you. Otherwise, I'm close by somewhere
I'm
in the
sorry.
shadow.
Epic fail. What am I going to do?
Click here.
Oh, on the right side, sweetheart. Okay.
Okay. So otherwise, might be a pointer which is not easily to handle in the sun.
Okay. Am I going backward? Nope. Going forward. Is this back and that's forward?
Yes.
Well, tell somebody.
I think you have to point there, because
That's
there's
right.
a computer where the device is hanging out. It worked all the other times quite well. You can handle it. If not, somebody will hit the go forward.
I think I'm on it now.
Perfect.
Back is left, forward is right.
You have as well designing communities and that last roundtable, which I like to join because I run a community, which will happen after your talk.
Yeah, so we won't even take a break. We'll just move right over to the table so that we can team up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work with you in design thinking, not for dev work, but design thinking for designing communities.
Okay, your stage. Feel free to give your speech around 20 minutes or whatever you need.
Okay, thank you. Well, hi. Getting an idea of where we all are. Yeah. I'm Alessandra. And there's people that I have met here before, and there's people that I have met for the first time. They call me Dan, welcomed me to Rosarito back in July. He bought me the best Mexican lunch I ever had in my life. That led to falling in love with the place. I've met Brian of London. He was a guest on our show called HiveSpace, which is one of your sponsors for HiveFest. We had a blast. It was like we knew each other already. Let's see if there's any other. Yeah, so it's kind of nice. I didn't know any of the Hive personalities. I didn't know the names that everyone else knew, so I didn't know any better than to ask them onto my show, and nobody said no. So what I want to talk to you about today, I love this cartoon because I always thought if I ever get over my bad self, I want to do a TEDx talk. Oh. So here is my motivation. My talk today is about subverting power structures by withholding affection. I love it. All right. So, more than killer dapps. So things can work perfectly, but if you're a bore, you don't want a second date. Things can crash epically, but if you're irresistible, you've got no worries. So I want to be able to talk to you, teach you, have you teach me back in the next session where we're at the round tables about how to be irresistible and how to make yourself useful. I can barely read it. So Creative Work Hour is the community that I designed using design thinking. And what it's about is it fills the need of creatives that need a structured, safe, non-isolating experience to do their best work. And it's not that, oh, I'm going to make a commitment, I'm going to do 30 days in 30 days. No. This kind of group, because we're all creatives, we're all content creators, and we're a sensitive bunch. We like it when we're upvoted, we love it when there's comments on our work, and we get all bent out of shape if there's a downvote or nobody pays attention to the work. Why? Because it was a risk. It was a risk to create the work to begin with. So what's the big deal about that? Well, a risk is, biologically, it's a threat. So for those that want the freedom to express more easily, you need safety. Okay, a good playlist helps, right? So if I have to wrap the whole thing up into one, I'm an industrial designer. So I use design thinking, which you probably think of dev work, but I use design thinking for even psychological hang-ups that I have, because it's an approach. And it works like, okay, what is the pain point that I'm having or you're having or we're having together? What sucks? And once you get that nailed down into, like Matt has taught me, 10 words or less, then you can define what the problem to solve is. But we're going to do more about that later. Yeah, so one of the problems that I had to solve that I couldn't do on my own was the problem of polymathy. And you've all heard of it, just maybe by a different name. It's a multiple disciplinary interest syndrome. It's a mouthful. So polymathy for short means that you're really you've got a thumb in many different pies. Now, that could be a sign of ADHD, or that could not be a sign of ADHD. It could be beside the point. But what is good to know about it is that it's okay to say that it's a dirty little secret. Especially if we've come from a country where it's not okay to express emotions, or if it's not okay to express, can I tell you something? I'm really fucking good at this. That's not okay in some cultures. It's simply not. And dare we not go there, but how dare you attempt to be good at more than one thing? We kind of want you to fail so that we can relate to you and you're no longer a threat to us. That's the idea. And I did not make peace with it until after I used design thinking to create the ideal community to fix the pain point that not he had, but that I had. So I had to get real personal, real quick, and real honest. I love this. I picked a song for myself for HiveFest 8. And I love the Santana version of it, not because he used to be my neighbor, but because it's all about that we're all one community. We could be of Cuban descent, we can be of American descent, we can be of African descent, we could be of this and that and the other, and polka dots and stripes and all that and more. But we're all the same people. We get out of bed 1 foot at a time. When we get sick, we try to recover. That's the nature of community, is that we all have the same thing. So, oye, como va? Means listen, come and listen. Come and listen to my rhythm. I want to play this for you. And Dan may go, okay, that's cool. I want to play this for you. And he may play poker at me. That's going to happen. There's going to be a poker game. It's going to be great. Monday night, right? Yeah. Now, I know it's really bright out here, but this is the first time that anyone has seen this piece of art. It's generative, which sounds like that would be easy. It was not easy. This piece of art expresses what it is to have a creative work hour experience. Because our communities, they're not about, I'm like you, and I'm like you, and I'm like you, and I'm like you. That's not going to hold attention for very long. What will hold attention is giving an experience that people will never forget. And when you create for experience, you create for breakthroughs. This is the picture of what it's like to have a creative breakthrough. Like, you can tell there was like some weight shed, some blood bled, some sweat, and she made the damn thing. And now here we are at HiveFest, and whatever she has made, when she sees through to posting it, she's actually going to give it to people who actually give a care about her. That's the experience. We want to be cared about. Another new piece of art. This is 2 of 8 that you'll see before we go into our roundtable work. So I want you to bear with me. We're going to do something together. Is that okay? If you're not into it, that's cool. Just try not to check your phone. Turn it over. Because what we're going to do is we're going to turn up the dial on experience. Okay. So this is what we do in Creative Work Hour every day. We have people who've never done any kind of a breathing exercise before. They've never done any kind of meditation before. We just show up, and for only 3 minutes, only 3, we have an experience together. And so here we go. If you want, you can turn around and look out at the sea and just listen to my voice. You do not need to look up here. If you want, you can close your eyes and just listen. And for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to take you through to the state of mind that you'll want when you're working on your own ideal community. So here we go. I'm going to be real quiet at first. And when you're ready, breathe in through the nose with your mouth closed. You can have your eyes open or closed, but just breathe in. And hold that breath. In other words, let the breath hold you. feel the breeze against your face. You hear the water lapping. You're still holding your breath. You hear the music playing. And with the next breeze that hits your face, I want you to blow out through the mouth. Here we go. Again, in through the nose. And hold it and roll your shoulders up if you have that range of motion. And then roll them back, if that's okay for you, and let your shoulder blades slide down your back. And blow out through the mouth. And as you do that, if you want, you can put your hands on your hips, blowing out. Last one, and then we're done. Hands on the hips, in through the nose. Hold that breath. And as you blow out, empty your lungs completely of all of that old air. Your human experience is literally different now than it was 3 minutes ago. Your heart rate is lower, your blood pressure is lower, you're more mindful, you're very aware of the breeze and the music and the shore, you're very aware of the sunshine, and all of those things bring a more satisfying human experience and help us to be calm. When we're calm, we can create things, and when we create things, we can work through that next hurdle of how to post it on Hive. That's a friction point that we can work because we're all together. There are those of you that are great at onboarding. Whoever you are, please, please come up and meet me later on because I need your help. I've been running an onboarding program for Hive for a year, and I still think I suck at it. So I need your help. Okay, thank you. All right, so this picture here is all about the creative home. And the creative home is a safe place. And this is what we imagine in Creative Work Hour. We do our little breathing exercise, and then I say, actually at the end of some hard work or tasks, you've come home to your creative home. And we all live in this place together. And in this place, you have your own bedroom. You have whatever kind of bed you want. The whole closet's yours. The drawers are all yours. You can leave your backpack in the middle of the floor. We don't care. It's your space. We honor that. Just like your blog is your blog. Your gaming is your gaming. We honor that. We're never going to touch that. But also what we have here is the enjoyment of watching one another work. So sometimes we do that with cameras on, sometimes we do that with cameras off because we're working in a Zoom environment. I can tell you this. In the last year and a half, there have been over 300 people sign up to think about joining Creative Work Hour for one session. 211 actually have done that. But in any given day, there's less than 10% of that. Now, why is that? It's because it's working. It's working. What works about the experience is that it is completely safe. And if there were screens of people, it wouldn't feel the same, would it? So that's part of the experience. Let me move on. This is something that we all know, that Hive success depends upon building community. Building dApps that work help too. Now, a year and a half ago, I'd never heard of Hive, I'd never heard of blockchain or Web3. When I did hear of it, it was because I was taking classes with a lot of techies. And I would say, what's Web3? And then I couldn't feel my feet anymore and understood nothing. So I'm like, okay, you're just not the right person to explain it to me. But this went on for months. And as shy as I am, the day came that I just said, well, that's it. I heard that Twitter Spaces is a thing you can turn on and you can talk to people. So I turned on Twitter Spaces and I said, hi, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just wondering if there's anybody here that can explain Web3 to me. And Shadow's Pub showed up. And in normal, everyday pedestrian language, requiring no computer science degrees and no self-taught, any of that, she simply explained to me what the ecosystem of Hive was about. That simply it's built on blockchain technology, which makes it where the things that we create in that environment are never stolen from us, they're never changed, they're never adulterated in any way. They belong to us till the bitter end. But then this happened. She started using words like hard fork and legacy chain. Web 2, what the hell's Web 2? Tokens? What the hell is an upvote? People do not know this. They do not know this. The people walking down the sidewalk right here, people don't know that. Now, because we're a tight community, we speak the same language, so now it doesn't freak me out when you use these words. But at first I was like Sandra Bullock in the movie where she enters rehab, where she's just like staring at the mental health professionals saying, I hate how you people talk. Mental health. Literally had a mental health event over trying to learn this on my own. So the result in community was that we did it together. So I want to be able to share this next piece of original art with you, which is about the foundation of Hive and on which it's built. It's built on personal empowerment. It's built on trust. It's built on safety. And it's built on collaboration. Because collaboration, like what I was sharing with Detlev about classical clarinet, meets a composer who thought he'd never be able to write again, came a dreamlike opportunity to create something that would not have happened if we hadn't had a creative work hour and Hive experience together. You can see some of our favorites right there. You got Podping. Hey, Brian. We've got Leo. I think the like to icon looks extraordinarily nice next to the 3Speak icon. We've got PinMapple there because I can't figure out how the hell I'm supposed to use that. I want to. I'll use the hell out of it, but I don't get it. This next piece of art is, this is Web 2. You see, it's all moss grown over and moth eaten, and we're sick of looking at those icons, and it's a way. We wouldn't have gotten to where we are in quite the same way, but that's Web 2. Web 3, from what you can see in the bright, bright sun, is a much more calm environment. Hive is the overarching architecture, and there's blocks, and there's projects, and there's dApps, and there's people, and there's communities, and there's laughter. There's HiveFest. There's friendships, and I can't wait. Who knows? We could come back to this very stage for, again, what looks like a wedding, and is a Hive one. Wouldn't that be fun? So these are the things that I focus on in my work, whether it is with my Hive hat on or my Hive and my Creative Work Hour hat on, is I want to calm the anxiety that I felt so that people can become comfortable with the terminology, that it's okay to have tech anxiety. I want people in Hive that haven't used a computer in 10 years. And the reason why is because I was one of those. I became very sick for a long time and nothing was working and I wasn't healing. And I thought, that's the end of being able to do higher level things. But what we have, with support, you can learn how to do anything. I just needed to chum up with some buddies that were good at that. And 3 times a week, that's exactly what I do. So I know how to do all kinds of computer things. And there's all kinds of computer things I have no idea. And it's all okay. So having a space where it's good to unlearn, learn, and grow is what we're all about. So what we saw in the art earlier on, with all of the rooms and all of the creators working in their own spaces, this is you. And you could be working on a VR game. You could be world building for the next Splinterlands. You could be rocket building. You could be doing all of those things during the course of the hour. But in the last 5 minutes, just like now, we all come back together as community. We meet every single day. There's no commitment on anybody's part but mine to be there, have a safe space where you belong, where you can work through whatever it is that you're working on. But we all look to the center, and this community was built before we ever knew about Hive. So instead of building it from the center of Hive, we've built the community and we're bringing the entire thing into our world of Hive. So that's what I have for us, folks. Thanks to Shadows Pub. Hey, Shadows. Hey, Jennifer. Thank you so much for your artwork. It is simply beautiful. It is stunning. It is stunning. And when I go up there to the 8th floor of the Coronado building called Hugo's, there are chairs at the end of each section of the artwork of the NFT showroom. And I will be there all I can be. And when I'm there, I'll have my computer with me. I'll be able to show you that art in full high-def color. Hive Space is our space on Twitter where we talk about all the things that people need to know. And if you are particularly good at explaining things about Hive, or you've become particularly good at describing your DApp or your project on Hive, please come and be our guest. You will never have so much fun being a guest in an audio space. There we go. That's where you find us at lu.ma/creative work. Thank you. Oh, the classical clarinetist of me says, I have to take a bow. Detlef,
Yes, I'm on my way.
I learned how to make the clicker work.
So every day something new to learn, like in blockchain times. Welcome. That was interesting. I remembered my yoga years with all the breath. And I think it will be as well interesting what comes next. So you will grab a few people and show even some more power of communities and how they last. Yeah. So whoever wants to join that session, it will be around here on the tables or somewhere there.
Yep. Please join us. I don't like to be alone.
So join Alexandra for the session and learn about communities. I will give you a little bit of housekeeping. So thank you first. Lovely. I steal the clicker again, otherwise you...
I know how to use it now.
Lovely.
Can I do a Twitter space on?
We have an ongoing activity day. So who might join the workshops there might join it. Later on at 5:30, I and Dan and I, sorry for that, will be at the beach with some nice liquid, cold and golden, I guess. Maybe as for some other darker colors, we will see. So feel free to join us at the beach at 5:30 until 6:30, where we'll have a little bit of chit chat and beer tasting and whatever comes next. Then at 6:30 we will start with our dinner over there where we had lunch, and from there we will stay there a little bit longer, but beneath all that we have the horseshoe throwing, and I think some ping pong players were formed to fight to each other or against each others. But then we will have probably again a nice evening hanging out here or in town. Which brings me to the day we have tomorrow, and there a guy named Detlef will do the opening at 9:30. Not here on a stage. We will be inside the building in the room Mexicanas Hall. This is a little bit hidden, as whenever you are at the reception, you have to turn around a corner in another place, but you will see it either on the app, on the maps. You asked maybe some people, I guess there will be some signs as well, so that you even with little eyes could find tomorrow at 9:30 the right stage where we will start. And we will start with something quite interesting and different ones, so be surprised what's on the plan. Then we have a full day of talks, if I look into my agenda here, and it won't be something you should miss. So from there, the workshop starts over there. Move there if you like. If there are other questions, ask me or Dan or Starkers or who else is around, because we probably know what's going on and what is going on. So have fun. Workshop time. See you.
Does this one work now? Yes, it does. Okay. So, if you're a rebel, that's cool. That's totally cool here. You do not have to sit around a table, but you do need to be, unless you want to be at a far disadvantage, you're going to want to be with like 4 people, maybe 5. I don't know. Am I counting people over here, or they planning the next thing for us? Yeah. There we go.
These 4.
Can
Are we 5?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, now I need the little note thingy. Yeah. I like it. It's an us against them. Yes. So if you're like, what are we doing here? And who called this? What we're doing is we're going to play a game. And the game is to use design thinking to create an ideal, irresistible community that you would actually care about, that you would actually get out of bed.